Hello, I'm Jason Skill. This is Painting with Skill Lesson 10. This lesson looks at print marks. Here I have some turquoise blue mixed in the palette. What I'm going to do, as a very basic idea, is that I'm going to take the brush and I'm literally just going to place it flat on the paper. Now notice that the woodwork is low. If I take the brush and literally almost lie it on the page and then lift it off, it will make that mark. I am not holding it like a pencil and pressing it down. That will give me a different shape of mark. I've taken the woodwork, I have lowered it, and I've placed it so. Let's take it, so this time I'm going to hold it more like a pencil, and I'm just literally going to touch the end of the brush on the paper. Now, if I touch the brush over and over again, you'll watch something quite interesting happen. I'm going to do a whole series of the same, what appears to be the same movement and the same mark. I'm going to start here and I'm just going to press down. And then I'm going to continue to press down at about the same angle. And I come back. Now, do you notice how they start off quite full and then they quite quickly become like little triangles with, and then almost like duck's feet. What it does is it takes the hair with the brush, and as you tap it, you open it, but you also create a bit of a hook underneath, because you've taken this section of the hair and you've flattened that out. Now if I do the same, I'll reload it. This time I'm going to slightly take the excess off the brush, and I'm going to increase the angle. And then when I press it down, I'm going to push it down and actually almost push it quite hard against itself. So this increases the shape that that one makes. I often call these duck's feet in lessons. So you're basically taking the same print mark, it's exactly the same brush, and you're altering its shape as it touches the paper. If I alter the angle of that, it obviously is an interesting addition by altering the angle. But what people often do when they alter the angle is they alter the shape. You've got to keep the same shape of brush touching the paper, so don't just put it at any old angle as you do that, because otherwise you basically take the hair and you reshape it. The idea is you tap it until you get the shape you want, until we get those duck's feet. They're beginning to appear now, and then I will aim that mark, that shape, the direction I want it to go. Seed shapes. What you do with a seed shape is you take the brush and you just, now what I often do is I'll put this portion of my hand on the page. Let's just turn that all the way out, give myself a little bit more room. Put that bit of my hand on the page, and then I lean on my little finger and I take this and I make that go up and down. So it's going up and down, but that's still, so that's doing that. What I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to touch the page. So I'll take the excess off the brush so it's not just going off a great blob. What I'm trying to do is create the look of a little seed. Now the seed can be, again, if you get the right shape going, you can then turn it in a whole series of different directions, and that can be a useful mark, particularly in painting trees, to attract attention to the edges of leaves and things. Right, instead of going in the fluid area of the paint now, I'm going to go up into this, instead of the wash area, teasing from the raw paint itself and slightly increasing the thickness, maybe taking the moisture off the brush a little bit. So this is a heavier paint. Now because it's heavier, now when I place it down, it's a little bit more dry. If I get a little bit of kitchen roll, what I may do is just think, I just want a little bit of the excess off there, and also I'd be pushing it slightly flat. So when I then, again, the woodwork's now low, and I place that on, it's a little bit of a different mark than the initial one we made. When we compare that to this is a little bit narrower. Now instead of holding it so flat, what I'm going to do this time is push the brush a little bit further forward. Still sort of sticky. And I'm going to make it push a bit further forward, and I slightly stall it. So I'm pushing the front of the hair forward, and it makes it more of a round printed mark. Print marks with brushes are very, very useful to use because it's not necessarily a painted mark as in you're sort of drawing and filling in. You're creating an effect. It's worth exploring all the brushes that you have, loading them with different sort of amounts of paint, whether it's slightly drier or slightly wetter, and offering different sections of the brush to the paper, and you'll get a huge range of marks that you can use in all sorts of contexts. So I would play with printing with your brushes and find out what happens. That was lesson 10. In lesson 11 we'll be looking at making vertical marks on the paper.